morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. Right off the bat, we had the Los Angeles Lakers falling to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves officially eliminating the Los Angeles Lakers in what was honestly, it was a close game, but we're going to get into this one. It was pure bully ball. It was physicality. It was big man basketball. It was man amongst boys on the court last night. And especially down the stretch, especially in the second half, it was all the Lakers left it all on the court. But when you're outsized, when you're outperformed, outmanned, I don't know if that's the right word, but in general, you know what I mean. We're going to get into everything about that. We're going to recap everything about that in that game. But from there, we're going to take a look at the Warriors officially fall to the Houston Rockets, get blown out by the Houston Rockets in Houston. The Rockets all forcing a Game 6 back in Golden State now, 3-2 series. Warriors still lead it, but this is a similar situation with the Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. You're allowing a young team to grow some confidence, play with a little bit extra leeway, a little extra. Oh, I can do this. I'm gonna come out and give a little bit extra, and just grow off of that. Especially with Ime Udoka as their head coach, he will have them ready to go. He will watch that film over because it was pure domination by the Houston Rockets. The final score does not show just how bad it was, because the Warriors went on a 21-7 run with their bench players and cut the lead all the way down to about 12 points. But at one point, that lead was bloomed all the way up to 30 points. So just to put it into a little bit of a perspective. But we'll talk more about that in that segment. From there, we're going to take a look at the Detroit Pistons trying to bring the series back to New York, force a Game 7. We'll preview that series a little bit later tonight. And then also we have the Clippers and Nuggets. Easily, arguably the best series of this year's playoffs. One of the best series of all time. One of the best series I've seen personally in my life. Since the only ones if I'm thinking back, are the 2016 finals with LeBron, with the Cavs and the Warriors, and then maybe the Sixers and the Sixers Raptors a couple years back, if you guys remember that. Outside of that, maybe the Hawks and Sixers as well, when Trae Young hit that crazy three and the Hawks were just messing around with the Philadelphia 76ers, just coming back left and right, game after game. We'll talk a little bit more about that in that segment as well. And then to close out the show, we'll talk a little bit about Stephen Castle and the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, Stephen Castle winning the 2025 Rookie of the Year award, back-to-back Rookie of the Years for the San Antonio Spurs. Do they have the best young talent in the NBA? That is the number one question, and that is what I'm going to be looking. That's what we'll be looking to answer it during that segment. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, you get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But enough is enough of that. We previewed the show. Let's get into a little bit of a main course here. And boy, did we have a main course last night. I apologize for the title. I tried to think of something creative. I tried not to steal something from somebody. So this is what I got. I promise next time I do it, it'll have a little bit more of a creativity to it. But Ant-Man, frying pan, Rudy Gobert dunked the Lakers in the trash can. Wolves in 5. And that's what it was. The Wolves knocking off the Los Angeles Lakers in 5 games. Last night, honestly, games 3, 4, and 5 were exactly the same. Game 1, it was the Timberwolves shooting that kept them in it, that pretty much knocked out the Lakers in that game. That when a team shoots over 50% from 3-point range and the Lakers are turning the ball over 15 times in a game, what are you expecting to happen? So it was just the shooting of the Timberwolves in game 1 that just called it quits. for the Lakers. From there, game 2, the Lakers came out. The Lakers had to win that game. Plain and simple. When you're down 1-0 at home, you're about to give up home court advantage. You've already given up home court advantage. You have to go into Minnesota and most likely win both of those games just to have a 2-2 series. No, that's just not happening. That was not happening. So the Lakers had to come out with a momentum. And they shot the lights out. That was probably their best defensive performance. And the Timberwolves, I believe, shot about like 29% from 3-point range. I believe 29. It's either 29 or 37. It could be 37%. But in general, it was a low shooting percentage from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Lakers just took pure advantage of it. So that was unfortunately the only win for the Lakers, but that is how they won that one. Games 3, 4, and 5. 3, you can say Luka was sick. He was throwing up on the sideline. Cool. Game 4, much closer, but it was down to the playmaking of Jaden McDaniels, the shot making of Naz Reid, and the driving physicality of Julius Randle. Oh, and not to mention Anthony Edwards having 43 points in Game 4. So take that all into combination, put that up in the soup, mix that up all together. You got a Lakers down 3-1 in this series now. And now we go into last night. Last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves jumping out to a 23-11 lead, blooming the lead all the way up to 14 points. And I thought it was going to be over. It was a 14-point lead before halftime. I thought the Minnesota Timberwolves were running away with it. The Lakers' offense was sputtering, as always, as we've lamented about their offense all series long. Luka trying to do his thing. Luka injured his back in this one. And he tried his best to make it non-noticeable, to try and just get the team back into it, get some momentum going, try and make it so it doesn't affect him very much, try to become more of a facilitator. The problem is, who are you facilitating to? Gabe Vincent, that's shooting 0 for 3. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't have a great game either, I don't believe. Who else? What? Especially when when head coach JJ Redick decides to go 3-man deep into their bench, when you have the Timberwolves did the same, but the Timberwolves are so much deeper. There's so much of a deeper squad. You're bringing up Maxi Kleber that hasn't played in 2 months. Jared Vanderbilt, only 2 points. Dorian Finney-Smith, 7 points. Outside of their starting lineup, with Rui Hachimura with 23 points, Luka with 28 points, LeBron with 22 points, and Austin Reeves with 12 points. Their leading scorer outside of those 4 was Dorian Finney-Smith with 7. And Austin Reeves, we'll get into Austin Reeves later in this segment, but who are you facilitating? You can't facilitate the ball to any of these guys. Unfortunately, you're trying to get them open looks, but unfortunately, these guys are not shot, especially in the playoffs, especially against a defensive team like the Minnesota Timberwolves that switches so well, that is able to that they're head and shoulders in terms of depth, in terms of bench, in terms of continuity. It was on pure display all series long. They were head and shoulders above the Lakers in terms of chemistry, in terms of shot making, in terms of everything, in terms of defense and rebounding. And it was on full display last night. Now, the Lakers did try to make it a little bit of a comeback. They did try to come back in this game, make it a little bit more interesting. But especially down the stretch here, especially in the second half, when you allow Rudy Gobert, I just want to pull up the exact number before I get into Rudy Gobert. 27 points and 24 rebounds to Rudy Gobert, which we know as a defensive guy. We know he's tall. We know he's big. We know he's an athletic freak when it comes to Rudy Gobert. He's one of the most underrated guys, one of the most underrated centers in the league. But 27 points and 24 rebounds? Anthony Edwards with 11 rebounds? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? The Los Angeles Lakers got frankly bullied Julius Randle, 23 points as well. Anthony Edwards didn't even have his greatest game, 15 points, 11 rebounds. So at the end of the day, when we're looking at this, we have to talk about, we have to shoot. The first thing we have to look at with this Los Angeles Lakers squad is their inability to defend the paint, their inability to rebound, and the fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves were playing so physical with them. With Julius Randle looked like the second coming of a prime LeBron James last night, looking like a freight train going down the lane. Every time. His drives, nobody wanted any part of him because he's just like a freight train. He's a freight train, and nobody can handle it. And then you have Rudy Gobert on the side. This is one of the most... This Timberwolves team was incredibly underrated going to the playoffs. I said it a couple times during the show, but I knew they were one of the harder teams in the NBA. I knew they were starting to get their chemistry together. I said it earlier in the show about a month ago. But with how the Warriors were playing, with how the Lakers were playing, with how the Clippers especially were playing, and with how deep the Western Conference was, the Minnesota Timberwolves just kind of got slid under the rug. Nobody paid attention to them. And now look at what they do. They come out, they take out the Los Angeles Lakers in 5 games, a team in the Los Angeles Lakers that a lot of people, including myself, had going to the NBA Finals because I thought Luka Doncic and LeBron James would be too much for anybody to handle on the offensive end. I thought they would figure it out. I thought they had... Austin Reeves was starting to grow into a legit third option, a reliable scorer, making it a big 3 in Los Angeles. I thought it was going to be too much. I really did. But I did not, with how I've been paying attention with all the other mismatches, with all the other matchups in the NBA, for whatever reason, because the Los Angeles Lakers had that title, I just glossed over the Timberwolves. I thought the Lakers were going to win in 6 games. I thought Anthony Edwards would win them 2 games and keep the series close, most of those games. And yeah, that was just a flat-out mistake from me. I do see a comment in the chat. Andre, Reeves went from having the best third option in the league talks a few weeks ago to absolutely ghosting. Yeah, man. And I thank you for bringing that up. I almost didn't even bring up Austin Reeves. What happened to Austin Reeves? Like, Andre, you're 100% right. What happened to Austin Reeves? Austin Reeves was the third option for this team. A guy that was going off for 19, 20, could go off for 28 points, could carry the offense sometimes. We saw him in the regular season having 40-point games. And now in the playoffs, I don't think he had a 20-point game. I think his best scoring night was 19 points. Last night, in a closeout game in Los Angeles, when your team needs you most, you go off for 12 points. Come on, man. Especially, we know how Austin Reeves is. We know how lethal of a shooter he has been in the regular season. And yeah, ghosting is the best word to use. He was up in pure smoke. Nobody knew where he was in this playoff series. And I don't know if the Minnesota Timberwolves were attacking him in terms of mismatches. I have to kind of look back into this series and probably take a deeper look into what happened. But Austin Reeves disappeared. And Austin Reeves is a little bit of a younger player. So, I mean, he'll probably go down into the second, third, fourth reason as to what happened in this series. But yeah, rebounding, physicality, big man bully basketball, a style that the Los Angeles Lakers use against so many teams, bullying people in the paint. And the Minnesota Timberwolves beat them at their own game. Plain and simple. This series is over in 5 games. Minnesota Timberwolves look to play the winner of the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets series, with the Warriors up 3-2. And that is exactly where I'm going. I'm going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Warriors-Rockets series. The Rockets blowing out the Warriors at home in Houston last night. This series shifts gears back to Golden State. We'll take a look at recapping this game and kind of what to expect in that Game 6. I'm going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets basketball. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Golden State Warriors-Houston Rockets series. The Rockets forcing a Game 6, going back to Golden State, blowing out the Warriors in Houston last night. And honestly, it looks like the final score is 131 to 116, but this series, it was not a 15-point game by any means. The Warriors went on a run to close out this game, went on a 21-7 run. This lead bloomed all the way up to 30-plus points at one point. So I'm going to preview that. Let's recap this series really quick. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right back into it here because we have no time to waste on this one. The Golden State Warriors blown out in Houston last night. I was not kidding. This game was a 30-point game at one point. Honestly, I believe, I could be wrong. I'm trying to do quick math skills based on box score. I'm pretty sure I watched the game as well. I think the lead bloomed all the way up to 33 at one point. In the first half, it was a 31-point game going into halftime. Just to put it into perspective, it was not close. This game was not close by any means. Steph Curry had 0 points going into the second. The only reason he had any points going to the end of the first half is because he got hot at the end of the second quarter and kind of tried to make a push for the Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler finishing with 8 points. He only had 1 point going into halftime. Overall, it was literally just the shooting. I think the best way to call this one, it was the shooting of the Houston Rockets. Fred VanVleet with 26 points. Amon Thompson 25 points. Dylan Brooks 24 points. Jalen Green got it going early, but only finishing with 11 points, but he shot pretty efficiently. 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3-point range. Just overall, it was just the shooting of the Houston Rockets as a whole, just knocking out the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors had no chance. When a team comes out, scores 76 points in the first half, scoring 40 points in the first quarter, yeah. And you only scored 24 points in the first quarter, 49 points at the end of the first half? Yeah. And you can't get it going in the third quarter? Yeah. You pull your starters. It's the right thing to do. It's the right call to make. I completely understand Steve Kerr's notion. And if you were watching that game, I know that the Warriors went on a 21-7 run in the fourth quarter, tried to bring them back into it. And the Warriors did bring it to within 11 points, I believe, at one point. Or 12, actually, I believe, at one point. But when you sit your starters down for 10, 15 minutes, especially with timeouts, it was at least 8 minutes of game clock. Add fouls, add timeouts, add commercial breaks. It's 15, 20 minutes you're sitting on the bench. You can't just go from the bench right back into a playoff game, not warmed up, your body just gets cold. It just risks injury. So overall, I completely understand it. I have no problem with it. But this series now shifting back over to Golden State for Game 6. It's going to be interesting to see how Steph Curry handles it. We saw his finger was wrapped up in the post-game press conference. There is a photo floating around of Steph Curry walking walking from the air, I believe it was the airport. And if you look at his right thumb, it is his knuckles swollen up like a balloon. Look it up if you haven't looked at it. Just look it up really quick right now. It's gonna be interesting, especially it's on his shooting hand. It's gonna be interesting to see how he handles that. It hasn't really bothered him so far this series. But last night shooting 4 of 12 from the field, only 13 points in this one. 3 of 9 from 3-point range. I believe all of those threes came in the second quarter. It was a tough performance from the Warriors as a whole. So, if you really look at it, it was just a flat out tough performance from the Warriors, and we know they can do better. We know they will do better. We know they're going to have a bounce back game in Game 6. Chase Center will be rocking. It's going to be interesting to see how the Rockets really handle that environment. I know they just won a game in Houston, and especially with their backs still up against the wall with a veteran head coach in Ime Udoka. How are they going to... Sorry about that, guys. How are they going to... Hold on. I'm going to take a short break. Nothing bad just happened, but I'm going to take a short break. Be right back, guys. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna stop streaming really quick. I'm gonna come back in about 5 minutes time. We're just dealing with some technical difficulties. I don't know what just happened. Just give me literally 5 minutes. I promise I will be right back to close out this segment, and we'll keep the show going like nothing happened. I will be right back. I promise. So sorry about that. Alrighty. I think we're back. I'm so sorry about that, guys. I hope you guys didn't just leave I think you guys just left the stream. Come back if you can pretty quickly. I'm so sorry about that. We were just dealing with some technical difficulties. Just got that back running. Got the stream back up and running. Um, I showed up like Austin Reeves. Had to ghost really quick and had to come right back. But unfortunately, Austin Reeves didn't come back. But where was I? The Houston Rockets officially. What is going to happen? What's going to happen with this Golden State? what is going to happen? What's going to happen with this Golden State Warriors team? What's going to happen to this Houston Rockets team? What can we expect in Game 6? I think we can 100% say Steph Curry's going to have a comeback game. I don't know if it was the defense of Amen Thompson that finally shut down Steph Curry. I don't know if it was the fact that the Warriors didn't have a chance to get their guys rolling in the clutch. We know Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler love the clutch. Game 4, it was Jimmy Butler with 13 points. I believe Game 1, he also had a clutch game. Fourth quarter, he having over 10-plus points. We've seen Steph Curry go from having 12 points in a game to having all the way up to 28 points, all because of his shooting in the fourth quarter. These guys are shot makers, especially when the game gets tight, when the game gets close. They know when to turn on the switch. And, yeah, they know how to do it. So this Houston Rockets team has to be ready to go in Game 6. Chase Center will be rocking. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler will have to get it going early, and I think they will. They're seasoned veterans. Two guys that have been to the NBA Finals. Steph Curry, that's won 4 NBA championships. Yeah, overall, they'll have their guys ready to go and running. They just got to hit the ground and run. It's plain and simple. They cannot be stagnant. They cannot let the Houston Rockets grab momentum early on. That's just the key to this one. But when's game? I think Game 6 of this one is lined up for Saturday. It could be Friday, but it could be Friday. Hold on, let me check that. But yeah, overall, I'm picking the Warriors to still win this series in 6 games. I would be shocked if this series goes to a 7th. Just because I think the Warriors are just so good at home. They always have been. This series lined up for Friday at 9 p.m. for Game 6. I'd just be shocked for the Houston Rockets to come out, and I could see them making it close. I could see it being similar to Game 4 with both teams just going back and forth, but I would be shocked if the Rockets pull this one out. If they can, we get another game set. We get Game 7 of this series, which would be incredible. But I'm leaning on the experience of the Warriors on this one, and that'll probably be that for this Golden State Warriors team. But yeah, I kind of want to take another short break, but at the same time, with all the technical difficulties, I don't think that's very fair to anybody by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I think I have to take a short break. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Detroit Pistons New York Knicks series, see what's next for both of these teams going into Game 6. Can the Detroit Pistons force a Game 7 back in New York? That is the question. Or will New York win all 3 of the games in Detroit? Another factor in this one, if the Detroit Pistons lose this game tonight, they officially go down as the longest, they will have the longest losing streak at home in the playoffs with, I believe it'll make it 9. They're sitting at 8. They're tied with somebody at 8 in a row right now. If they lose tonight, it'll put them at 9, and it'll just, yeah, they'll have the longest losing streak. They haven't won a home playoff game since 2008. So if there's a night to do it, it's honestly tonight. So I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that series.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Detroit Pistons New York Knicks series, a series that's had a circle lined all around it. For the second the series was announced, everybody circled it because it's a series between grit and talent. Now, you'd expect, especially over the last 4 years of the New York Knicks, how they've been built around Tom Thibodeau, with how Leon Rose has grown with this team, has built this team. They're a team built around grit, with Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. Josh Hart, who's honestly an Iron Man who can do anything. He's a utility guy, triple-double machine. You have Mitchell Robinson there, and especially coached by Tom Thibodeau. They stress hard work and grit and just mucking up the game and just making it just a tough game in general for the other team. Just getting them out of the flow. This year, it's the opposite. You bring in a Karl Anthony Towns, who's more of a shooting big man than a down low in the post big man. He's still a rebounder, but he's more of a shooter than a back to the basket kind of guy. Doesn't have the greatest footwork. You have Mikal Bridges, who's known to be a shooter, but this year has struggled tremendously from the shooting line. Giving up four first round picks for Mikal Bridges, just not enough. Not what we expected from Mikal Bridges this year. So that's another topic for another day. But and Jalen Brunson obviously is playing hobbled. That is the state of the New York Knicks right now, and with the Detroit Pistons high and flying, young confidence. They hold all the grit. Jalen Duren is a tremendous young talent. Cade Cunningham leading this offense. They still have Asher Thompson. If they can get Isaiah Stewart back in the lineup, that is going to be a question mark, especially as the series has gone on. We knew that he was going to be available as the series drew on, but it's going to be interesting to see if he'll be back in the lineup tonight or in a Game 7 if a Game 7 is forced. But this team is still great. They still have Asher Thompson, like I mentioned. They're led by Dennis Schroeder as a veteran. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. They have Malik Beasley as the veteran shot maker, who's been a little bit of a quiet question mark this series. It's going to be interesting to see if he can flick that switch. We just haven't seen that 20-point performance yet from Malik Beasley. That's what we've been waiting for. And then you also still have Tobias Harris has been the X factor in this series for this team. Tobias Harris, a guy that started his career in Detroit, went to Philadelphia. The Sixers let him go last year. Going back home to Detroit, being like, I want to bring this team some playoff success, and he's done nothing short of that. He's played phenomenal throughout this series. Really, I think almost every game, having at least 15 points in every game. Game 6 in Game 5, having 17 points. Overall, the Detroit Pistons are still a great team. A young, feisty team built around hard work, built around mucking up the game, built around defense. Incredible athleticism from top to down. Incredibly deep team that can honestly go 6-man deep, going 10+, having 10+ points. They play incredible team basketball. I think I would personally be shocked if the Detroit Pistons are not able to win this game, just because they have not won a game at home yet. They lost Game 3 and Game 4. 2 games that, honestly, Karl Anthony Towns delivered the goods in both of those games. Jalen Brunson, we know who Jalen Brunson is, but getting hurt in Game 4, also tweaking that ankle in Game 5 late in that game, he's hobbled. He is not the same guy. He's going through an ankle injury right now. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that all shakes out, because they need Jalen Brunson. If the Pistons win this game, I would be deathly afraid if I'm the New York Knicks. If I'm a New York Knicks fan, I want this series over tonight, because if Detroit has to go back to New York and all the media has to come down to New York for a massive Game 7 winner-go-home game, I promise you, all the pressure will be on New York. Nothing will be on Detroit. Nothing. Detroit is a young team that's playing, honestly went from 14 wins to 44 wins this year. They're playing with house money. They're playing with urgency, growing confidence, absolutely. But when you have a team like the New York Knicks, who's been to the second round the last 2 years, the last 2 years they've made it to the second round. They have a Jalen Brunson. They brought Karl-Anthony Towns in. They brought Mikal Bridges in. Traded 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. They still have Tom Thibodeau there. They still have a deep squad. You just paid OG Anunoby as well. You need to show up. If you're the New York Knicks, if you're the New York Knicks and you blow a 3-1 series lead, I might not want to if I'm any of those players, I might not want to show my face in New York for at least 2 months. Let a couple months go by in the summer and then come back around July, August. Get ready for the new regular season. Get ready for the next regular season. I don't know what to tell you, because this New York Knicks squad needs, if they lose this game, if they lose this series, and we can talk more about that if there is a game 7, we don't even know. The Detroit Pistons need to win. They needed to win 3 in a row. They've already finished step 1. Now they're on to step 2. There's a 3-step process. They're on step 2 right now. If they win tonight, boy, I do not want and I know New York Knicks fans, and they've been out there. They've been saying, "Oh, Jalen Brunson's one of the best playoff performances this year. They're gonna wipe the floor with the Detroit Pistons with their experience." Then why has it been 2 out of the 3 games at home have you lost to this Detroit Pistons squad? Why did the Detroit Pistons go into New York in a Game 5 closeout game in a hostile environment like New York, like Madison Square Garden, show up, take the lead early, and not look back? The New York Knicks tried to make it close late in the game, especially in the fourth quarter, started to get it together. But at the end of the day, it was the shot making of the Detroit Pistons, the offense of the Detroit Pistons, that had the last laugh in this game, that put the nail in the coffin. If the New York Knicks want to have a chance, it has to come down to Karl-Anthony Towns. Jalen Brunson is hobbled. They need Karl-Anthony Towns to take over this game. Games 3 and Games 4, both games he had over 30 points. Both games he made clutch threes, clutch shots late in that game that put away the Pistons, that shut down their offense pretty much. So, when you're looking at that, when you're looking at a Karl-Anthony Towns, a bona fide, one of the best shot makers, the best shooting big man in basketball, he has that title. Then why is he shooting 4 3-pointers, shooting 2 for 4, 5 of 14 from the field in Game 5? I don't know if it's Tom Thibodeau getting in his ear. I don't know if it's he's getting in his own head about it. We've seen that happen before. I don't know if it's if he can. Another thing, I just reminded myself, if Karl-Anthony Towns gets into foul trouble early, that is a big deal. That is what happened in Game 5, having 3 fouls before halftime. That cannot happen. Karl-Anthony Towns loves to get into foul trouble for whatever reason. If that happens again, I could see the Detroit Pistons winning this game and forcing a Game 7. At the end of the day, win this game, New York. Because if you don't, all hell could break loose in New York in a Game 7. A young team like Detroit, playing with house money, with a lot of people doubting them, have been doubting them. Myself, I picked this team to win this series in 7 games. But I would be lying if I didn't say the New York Knicks had a 95% chance of winning this series when they went up 3-1. But now, after watching Game 5, that number has dipped down to probably a closer to 68, 72%. Just because the Pistons are showing me something. That is the end of the day. That is what it comes down to. The New York Knicks have not shown me anything different outside of Game 3, Game 4, Karl-Anthony Towns. If he can do that again, I like the Knicks' chances. But that's a big if. And it's not likely for the Pistons to lose 3 games in a row. That building, Little Caesars Arena, is going to be rocking tonight. So the New York Knicks better be ready to go, or else this game could be over quick, fast, and in a hurry. And we could see a similar situation to what the Houston Rockets did to the Golden State Warriors last night. But I'm going to leave it on that note. I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets series, a series probably easily the best series of the NBA playoffs so far. We're going to preview Game 6 of this one. The Nuggets up 3-2 in this series, and we'll see if the Clippers can pull out a Game 6. Is it a crazy question to say that I would be shocked if this series did not go 7? Plain and simple. Just because of how star-studded the Los Angeles Clippers are, they will be ready to go in this game. If the Clippers are not ready to go, that falls on the Clippers. I would be very shocked. But I would be shocked. I'm expecting them to show up and show out. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, they will answer the call. I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that series.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content written. For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. First off, I'm sorry if there was another little bit of a technical difficulty. I don't know what's going on today. That's twice in one stream, and haven't had this happen in about a month, in the month or so that I've worked here. I'm so sorry for that. I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen moving forward as we keep doing these daily streams. But getting right back into the action here. The Clippers going down 3-2 in this series, losing Game 5, Game 6 lined up for tonight. Is this series going to be over tonight? Are the Denver Nuggets going to walk into LA and close out this series? They haven't done it yet. They didn't win Game 3. Well, they won Game 4 actually. So I take that back. But overall, I have to pick the Clippers. I would be shocked if the Clippers do not win this game. The Nuggets won Game 5 purely off their shooting. Russell Westbrook going off for 21 points off the bench. Jamal Murray, 43 points for him. I think we could see a Nikola Jokic closeout game just because we didn't see him. He had 13 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists in game 5. I would not be shocked if we saw a comeback game from him. But overall, I expect the Clippers to come out. I expect Kawhi Leonard to be ready in this one. I expect James Harden to be ready in this one. Tyler will have his guys ready to go in this one. Absolutely. I would be shocked if they don't. Ivica Zubac will be ready to go as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, this series will come down to Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. This game specifically, it'll come down to the shot. Kawhi Leonard will need another one of those 15 of 19 shooting, 39-point game 2s like he had in Game 2. If he can replicate that, I could see the Clippers winning this game. 100%, I could see the Clippers winning this game. But if they had a game like they did in Game 5, Kawhi only 20 points, 8 of 15 from the field. He needs to have more volume with his shooting. James Harden, we need a comeback game, bro. 3 of 9 shooting from the field in Game 5, 0 of 2 from 3-point range. We know who James Harden is. We know he can play better. We know how well he's performed in the regular season so far this year. And with the turnovers, 4 turnovers in Game 5, Kawhi with only 1 in Game 5, shockingly, but 4 for James Harden. If he can keep that number down, Zubats can continue to play at a high level, 27 points in Game 5 for him, that could overall. This series comes down to, like I said, the shot making of Kawhi Leonard, of James Harden. It comes down to the rebounding of the Nuggets. I've said that in all of these games that the Nuggets have won. It has come down to the rebounding. The rebounding disparity in this one it's clear. It really is. Nikola Jokic, 10 rebounds. Christian Braun, 12 rebounds. He was the guy. We saw Michael Porter Jr. with a 15-15 game earlier in the series. We know Aaron Gordon, how he is, how he can be an X factor in this series. Not only his rebounding skills as a big man on the interior, giving Nikola Jokic another guy to pass to, but also as a 3-point shooter. He is a 3-point shooter. Make no doubt about it. He is one of the better 3-point big men in the league. And he can play defense, and he can rebound, and he can play with his back against the basket. And he's he's more of a power forward than a center, but he's still one of the better athletic freaks in the NBA this year. So as a whole, I'm picking the Denver Nuggets in this one. I would be shocked. I'm picking the Clippers in this one. I would be shocked if the Clippers lose, just because of what I just went through, top to down, how star-studded this team is. But I also know the Denver Nuggets have something to play for. I know Russell Westbrook is trying to win a chip. Jamal Murray is trying to win a second chip after losing in 7 games to the Minnesota Timberwolves last year. We know Nikola Jokic, he's the best big man in basketball. He's arguably the best player in the NBA this year. And overall, we'll see how it all plays out. I think it's going to be fireworks, as the series has been all series long. It's been fireworks. Back and forth. Both teams have been throwing haymakers at each other. But, yeah, I think, I would be shocked if the Nuggets win this game. We haven't seen them win a game in LA yet outside of Game 3. Game 4 outside of the Aaron Gordon alley-oop dunk. But, yeah, I wish I had more to say. I don't know. Game 1, it came down to the turnovers that Russell Westbrook forced. I think I believe the Clippers had 20 turnovers in Game 1. Game 2, it came down to the shot making of Kawhi Leonard, shooting 15 of 19 from the field. That was the game that I mentioned. Game 3, it was just overall Clippers all around. Game 3 was Clippers all around when they won by almost 25 points plus. Kawhi Leonard with 21 with double-double in that game. James Harden with 20 points. Norman Powell with 20 points. Ivica Zubats with 19 points. Just going rapid fire for that game. That was similar to, if you remember, Game 1 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Los Angeles Lakers when they just shot the lights out. That is a prime example of what happens when teams shoot the lights out and have a well-balanced attack. Everyone firing on all cylinders. Just shooting the ball well. So that was Game 3. Game 4. Game 4 was Game 4. I was right. Game 4 was the alley-oop dunk from Aaron Gordon when they won that game from the putback dunk. That shocking. Both teams going back and forth. Clippers were down 22 points in that one and climbed their way all the way back to eventually tie and win this game. So that was unbelievable as a whole. And then obviously last game, Game 6 or Game 5, was the Denver Nuggets just shooting the lights out. So that is the series as a whole. I think the Clippers will win Game 6, and it will be a Game 7 back in Denver on Saturday. Which, get ready for that one. Buckle up, because that game will be red. That game will be unbelievable. So, yeah. I wish I had more to talk about. There's just not a whole lot to talk about with this series. It comes down to Aaron Gordon as an X factor, how he can get his own offense going. It'll come down to Jokic, of course. He's the best player in the series. And then on the other side, it comes down to Norman Powell, really. I haven't really talked about Norman Powell in this series, but he has to be a legit number 3 if the Clippers want to win this series. He really does. In Game 4 when they won, or Game 3 when they won, he had 20 points. They need a replicated performance from him. He's an NBA champion. He won with the Toronto Raptors in 2019. We know how good he is, how prolific he is offensively, how he can get it going. If he can take a little bit of the pressure off James Harden, off Kawhi Leonard, I think Ty Lue is going to be a big key factor in this one, how he can scheme those guys open, because he needs whatever he hasn't done, whatever little secret tactics that he's kept in the playbook, he needs to throw everything in this game. This game he needs to throw everything in this game. He really does. Figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work. You've had 5 games of film, so I'm guessing you already know, but go back to Game 3, watch that film, figure out how to get your guys open. Watch Game 2, watch how Kawhi Leonard was getting open, try and boost his confidence, try and get him open so he can get a boost of confidence, so he can shoot the ball more in the fourth quarter, to have more confidence in that shot, and eventually be one of the better shot makers in this series. And then on the other side, we have David Adelman, a young head coach. I'm not going to go into the Mike Malone spiel like I have many games, recapping many of these games, previewing many of these games. I've said Mike Malone is a big reason. I'm leaving it at that. Mike Malone being fired with a week left in the regular season, is going to spell the defeat of the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. Whether it's going to be now, whether it's going to be down the line if they win the series, if they face Oklahoma City, if they win that series, if they face Golden State or Minnesota, whoever they face, the Denver Nuggets have to be ready to go. And it's going to come down to the experience of their coaching, getting their guys ready, getting their guys open, and getting their guys schemed up and ready to go. Plain and simple. And we've seen Nikola Jokic's numbers taking a dip. So whether that has to do with Adelman, whether that has to do with Mike Malone's older scheme, that's remained to be seen. It's only been 3 weeks since David Adelman's taken the interim head coaching spot, but he's got his work cut out for him as a whole. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs, one of the younger teams in the NBA, back-to-back Rookie of the Years with Wembanyama last year, and now Steven Castle winning the Rookie of the Year this year. Let's take a look and see who has the best young team in the NBA right now. Is it San Antonio Spurs, or is it somebody else, say the Oklahoma City Thunder, or somebody else that hasn't been mentioned? I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at the San Antonio Spurs. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our final segment of the show here, we're going to take a look at the San Antonio Spurs, and specifically take a look at Steven Castle. Steven Castle winning the Rookie of the Year award this year. One of the best younger players in the NBA. a phenomenal player that has really showed up for the San Antonio Spurs, especially in the second half of the year. Overall, it was a phenomenal performance from Steven Castle so far this year. Starting off the bench, behind, I believe it was behind Devin Vassell, and then ultimately growing into the starting lineup with when the De'Aaron Fox acquisition happened in the mid-season trade. With De'Aaron Fox in the lineup, Wembanyama, Steven Castle, Devin Vassell, and I'm trying to think of who they played at the 5. I think it was Jakob Poeltl. Overall, San Antonio Spurs are one of the youngest teams in the NBA. Are they the best youngest team in the NBA? Are they the best out of everybody? I don't know if I can say that, just because if you take into account the Oklahoma City Thunder, for example, I believe their average year of age is 23 years old, and they're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, just finished sweeping the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, looking to face whoever wins the series between the Nuggets and the Clippers. Plain and simple, they're probably head and shoulders above the Spurs. But here's where it gets interesting. And I probably should have labeled this future young talent as well, because I'm looking at this from now and in the future. The San Antonio Spurs have an opportunity to get the number 1 overall pick this year. It would be the second time. Would it be the second time in a row? Well, it would be at least the second time in 3 years, with drafting Wembanyama 2 years ago, and now if they can get the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, in the first round with the number 1 overall pick. The lottery will not happen for a little while now, just because I think the draft is mid-June or mid-May or mid-June. I always forget. But San Antonio Spurs are one of the best young teams in the NBA, for sure. If they can get their hands on Cooper Flagg with Wembanyama, with Steven Castle, with De'Aaron Fox as your point guard, let's say they acquire another young superstar with this team. Say they get a Giannis Antetokounmpo, or they get a Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's name has been a dark horse name linked to the San Antonio Spurs. I think that would be an interesting fit for him. Just for a team in the San Antonio Spurs that wouldn't have to trade. I don't think they would have to trade for Kevin Durant. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But as a whole, San Antonio Spurs are just one of the great younger teams in the NBA. If they can keep their core, if they can get another young star with this team, it doesn't have to be a superstar like a Kevin Durant. If they could get a Zach LaVine, if they could get a DeMar DeRozan star player, someone on that level, I think it would really, really boost this team's confidence, especially if they add a Cooper Flagg in the offseason or in the draft, or whoever they draft with the top 5 pick, because this year's draft is one of the deepest drafts we've seen in years. It is star-studded, top-down. LJ Cryer, you have Cooper Flagg, like I mentioned. Con Knipple is a stud. He's going to be a star in the NBA. I don't, if you guys can go back into my old videos when I was talking about Duke versus Houston, or was it Duke versus Houston? Who did Duke play? I think it was the Elite 8 game. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been against Alabama. I'm trying to think back really quick. But Con Knipple in one of those games, when Cooper Flagg took a little bit of a step back, I think it was Alabama, when he took a little bit of a step back because of how Christian Youngblood was defending him. Con Knipple, is a freshman, a 6'11 guard who can shoot the ball, who's an unbelievable shooter. Shoot the ball. I called him the second coming of a Klay Thompson. A taller, better defensive player than like Klay Thompson-esque. I really did, because of how he shot the ball. Catch and shoot guard who can shoot the lights out from 3-point range. That is Con Knipple. If the San Antonio Spurs can get their hands on a Con Knipple, that would be awesome for them. Of course, Cooper Flagg would be better, but just in case they don't get the number 1 overall pick, just because I believe there's a 3-way tie for number 1, and then the Spurs are either 4 or 5 in that lineup in terms of who has the best odds to acquire the number 1 overall pick. But yeah, if they can get that guy, if they can get a good pick in the draft, if they can add a player from the free agency market, continue to grow their core group of guys. Wembanyama obviously suffering from blood clots in this year during in the middle of this year. We know he's one of the best. We saw him in the first half of this season. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He really is. There's a reason we call this guy the alien, because we can't call him the freak because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is an alien. He really is. The way he's able to dribble the basketball, able to rebound, able to block shots, able to shoot the ball. A guy 8'3" should not be able to shoot the ball the way Wembanyama is able to shoot it, from especially 3-point range. If he can continue to grow his game from out there and grow into a shooter like a Karl Anthony Towns can shoot the ball from 3-point range, like an Aaron Gordon, this guy could arguably go down as one of the best NBA players in NBA, one of the best players in NBA history. Not just because of his talent, but because of how much of a mismatch he is against anybody. He's a foot taller than almost anybody. Seriously. He looks down to Shaq. He looks down to Nikola Jokic. He looks down to Giannis Antetokounmpo. These guys might be bigger than him in terms of strength, in terms of build. But when you're talking about rebounding, yeah, you can probably bully him into the front row. Hit him with the shoulder tackle, he'll fall all the way into the parking lot. But all he has to do is do this, and he has the ball in his hands before you can even look up. He doesn't, to put it into perspective, he does not dunk. He does not jump when he dunks. He literally just does this. Or stands on his tippy toes and does a little hop, a little Nikola Jokic hop. Seriously, he can't. He just doesn't. So, San Antonio Spurs are one of the best young teams in the league. Well, I'll probably have a little bit more to talk about this when the news about Greg Popovich comes out. Just to give a little bit of an insight on that, he did suffer a midseason stroke in November. He had multiple heart attacks, I believe, in the last couple months. So I would not be shocked if Greg Popovich steps away from the game of basketball, retires, calls it quits. He is one of the best NBA coaches, easily one of the top 3 NBA coaches of all time. In that conversation for sure. If Pat Riley decides to become a coach again, I would not be shocked if he decides to go to San Antonio to take over for Greg Popovich. They do have a guy by the name of Tim Duncan, who's an assistant coach there right now, who's continuing to grow into a head coach, has been a head assistant coach since he retired from the game of basketball, from playing with the San Antonio Spurs. So I would not be shocked if Tim Duncan was hired as the head coach for this team moving forward. But overall, yeah, that's the San Antonio Spurs for you. It's all going to come down to the coaching. If they can continue to grow their young core, who they draft in this year's upcoming NBA draft, because they will end up having a top 5 pick. Either it's 1 or it's top 5. Like, you're looking at your best is number 1 overall, going with Cooper Flagg, or you could go top 5 drafting a Christian Youngblood or an LJ Cryer. There's definitely better players. I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now. Excuse me, by the way. But yeah, as a whole, yeah, that's my spiel about the San Antonio Spurs. But yeah, another packed lined up slate of NBA playoff basketball tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. We have the Detroit Pistons against the New York Knicks. Game 6 in Detroit. I cannot wait for that game because Detroit will be rocking. I don't think the New York Knicks are ready for what the Detroit Pistons are about to throw at them. With the level of noise that they are going to make in that building, they're going to need a special Jalen Brunson's performance, a special Karl Anthony Towns performance. A comeback game from Karl Anthony Towns could be enough to put the Knicks over the hump, but I would not be shocked if we see like a Cade Cunningham 40-point game, Malik Beasley show up and give us 15 points, Tobias Harris 15 points, Jalen Duren 10 and 12. If Jalen Duren has a big game as well off the offensive glass like he did, he had 7 rebounds in game 5. Do not be shocked if the Detroit Pistons win this game, regardless of what happens with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Plain and simple. And so that's a 7 o'clock game. And then the 10 o'clock, of course, we have the best playoff series in the NBA right now between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. So those are the two series. Those are the two hallmarks of the night. I cannot wait for either of those series to kick off, either of those game 6. And hopefully we'll get a game 7 and at least one, if not both of those series. But yeah. Thank you guys again for tuning into the GSMC Sports Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Before I say any more, I'm so sorry for those technical difficulties today. I know we had to stop the stream, get back on stream, be right back, pause the stream. It was a mess. It was a pure mess with losing scenes, with losing content, losing material. It was technical difficulties from top to bottom, and it was honestly an anomaly. I've worked here for a month and a half. I have not seen anything like this in my time here, and hopefully we never see it again, because first of all, I know how to fix it now pretty quickly, so that's pretty good. But yeah, hopefully we never see it again. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to both of these streams that kicked off today. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, please let us know what you think in the comments below, because you guys are a big part of what we do here. Overall, let us know what we're doing well, what we can keep doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon. Overall, improve upon in general. Just let us know in general. Let us know what you want to hear more of, so we can build our shows around around your ears, around your minds in general. That way we can produce a better show, a better content in general. Please, we also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again. This is Mehrob Fatemi, the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Happy basketball to everybody here. Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks, Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets later tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to recap both of those series and hopefully preview a Game 7 over the weekend. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna